Hi, come and join me for 3 friends, 3 fabrics, 3 fringes. Hello, welcome to my channel So Let's Sparkle with Sam. I'm Sam. So if you have come over here from one of my lovely friends' channels, then welcome. You are very welcome here. And if you have been here before, hello. So I have never jumped at a collaboration offer faster than this one. Yeah, so as I said, it is 3 friends, 3 fabrics, 3 fringes, although it's actually 4 because I'm a bit of an overachiever and I made 2. So yeah, so stay tuned and find out the 4th one. So as I said, 3 friends. So the 3 friends are me, Sam, so let's sparkle with Sam, Catherine, who is Soberton Makery, and Rachel, who is the French Seams. So they are very good friends of mine, and me and Rachel have actually worn our fringe dresses together. We've actually been fringe friends for quite a while. I'm gonna have to be really careful with that, aren't I? With my foot. Yeah, so here's a picture of me and Rachel rocking our fringe dresses at the Stitch Festival. Was it the Stitch Festival? Wasn't it? Yeah, it was at the Stitch Festival. And yeah, and then so just because we're friends and we were chatting, Catherine has never made a fringe dress. Well, can you be friends with someone that's never made a fringe dress? I mean, yeah, you can. But we thought, what a great idea to make fringes together. So we all chose fabric that we really wanted to use. I actually had a special occasion that I wanted to fringe for, and I kind of wanted to make a bit of a special effort fringe. I had actually sent Catherine some fabric that I knew was going to make her a really gorgeous fringe dress for her birthday, and Rachel had picked up some absolutely fantastic, but you need to go and watch their videos and find out all of their stories of their fringe dresses. But we did kind of do it together. So we set up a little kind of group. I think initially it was on a Tuesday, but it ended up just being any time that we were free, any time that we had 2 hours free in the week. We kind of hop on to a WhatsApp call, and we'd save that time to sew our fringe dresses. And you know what? It was so lovely. I found it so motivating. I love to sew. I don't generally need motivation to sew, but yeah, because I knew that that was my fringe time. It was my special fringe friends time. Yeah, really enjoyed it. So just in case you're not sure what a fringe dress is, let me give you a little bit of detail. So I'm talking about the Fringe dress by Chalk and Notch. It's a beautiful dress and blouse option pattern, and it has 2 views. So the first view, view A, has like buttons down the front, which is the one that I'm wearing at the moment, and view B has it's just a pull over the top, which just has a very nice shaping on it, no buttons. It has waist ties, which gives it lovely waist definition. Sleeve options, which you can have tabs or no tabs. Now I've actually adjusted, I'll talk to you a little bit more about this one. I've actually adjusted the one that I'm wearing because the pattern actually asks you to make this sleeve cuff so it's kind of folded over and folded over again. And on the one that I've made for the special occasion, I have done it exactly as the pattern says. But for this one, because it's a very lightweight viscose, and as you'll see later when you see me in my different fringes, fabric choice makes the fringe look very different. So if I just open my tab out, can you see now it kind of almost goes down to my elbow? Now the reason that I did this for this one is that it's definitely a summer fabric and I need kind of more arm coverage in the sun, so I can roll it up if I need to, but I can have it down so if I'm sat outside I've got that coverage in the sun. Because it's got this beautiful V-neck, I can also put a little vest top underneath it if I need to, or something over the top. So yeah, as I said, you can make it in a dress or top. You've got the sleeve options, tabs or no tabs. And they have great custom fitting guides within the pattern. So if you don't know how to do a bust adjustment, they'll show you how to do that. However, they also have bust cup options. So you can have all of the sizes, not just the smaller or the bigger sizes, all of the sizes with an A/B cup option, and all of the sizes with a CD cup option. And I make the CD cup option. Now on my body measurements, I would be a 12 for chalk and notch, but because even with the D cup option, my difference between my high bust and my full bust is quite large. So because of my high bust, I make a 10, and then everything else fits, because I find that the 12 for the high bust just gives me a bit too much room here. So, and making the 10 still gives me plenty of room in my bust, waist and hips, because in fact it's only really your bust measurements that you need to worry about for precise fitting, because the rest is very, very flowy. So it's a very tummy hip friendly pattern. It flows nicely over your waist and hips. If you do want that definition, as I said, they do the option that you can put your waist ties in the darts, which is unusual actually, because normally you put the waist ties just in the side seams, but you can have the options of putting them in the front or back darts, and that's what I think gives it that chef's kiss, little bit extra shape and definition. It's definitely what I like about the fringe dress. So yeah, so let me talk a little bit about the fabric that I chose for my special occasion dress. So it's this one up here. There will be pictures of me wearing it, so don't worry. I just thought this way you could see ones that I've made before, and it might be nice just to have, you know, a little fringe heaven going on. As soon as I saw this fabric come into the shop, now the shop where I work is Carolyn Rose School of Sewing, and they have a little fabric shop, and they also have a fabric shop online. When this came in, I straight away went, ooh, Pretty Woman, because yeah, can you see what I mean? It gives you those Pretty Woman vibes. And I've always had an image of in my head of a dress that I'd like to make. And because I love the fringe dress so much, I really wanted to give the fringe dress a go in that fabric. So I had a wedding that I was going to. It was a very close kind of family friend wedding, and it was in a wood. It was a beautiful, beautiful woodland area. And so I knew I wanted to wear a dress that would make me feel amazing, but it also needed to be very practical. I didn't want anything too long or flowing, because we were going to be walking through the woods and it was going to get caught on things, and you know, so I wanted something that I knew that I was going to feel great in, but was also really practical. And actually for a wedding guest dress, it's actually quite tricky. So yeah, but I think I completely nailed it. So there are, the fringe dress comes with this lovely dipped hem. I'll show you some line drawings so you can see it more clearly. In other versions, so for this one, for example, I actually cut it across. I don't cut it straight across. I give it a little tiny kind of skim, just to give it that nice shape. But with this one, I went full on dip. In fact, I think I actually increased the length of the dip a little bit, because I had a little bit of extra fabric, so I thought, oh, I'll just give it that little bit of extra flair. So I really accentuated that dipped hem, because I wanted to give the illusion of a bit more length but have it still short enough. So, because obviously the wedding was in May, but I live in the UK, so that could have been anything from brilliant sunshine, which it was, or a hailstorm, you know, it could have been anything. So it needed to be a practical dress that I knew wasn't going to drag or kind of catch on anything. So yeah, so I went for this beautiful cotton poplin fabric from Carolyn Rose. Now, if you make your fringes in cotton poplin versus viscose, you do get very different shapes. And I have made a couple of viscose floaty fringes. This one is a viscose, this one is a viscose. I've also made a couple of cotton fringes. These aren't all of my fringe collection. I have actually got a couple more, but I haven't ironed them. So I've also, yeah, and I would say I like both. I do like the crispness of a cotton fringe. I think the cotton ones feel a little maybe a little bit more smart formal, whereas the viscose ones feel a bit more like relaxed formal. Does that make sense? I mean, maybe it's the other way around, but they both, for me, I like them both, and I like wearing both. I'm comfortable both in viscose and cotton. The one thing I will say is that I've noticed when I was getting all of these out, the ones that I have made a little while ago, I put a label in where the facing goes, in the neck facing, and I've cut it out of both of them. So just note to self that if you are putting a label in, either satin stitch it into the back of the facing, which is what I've done on that one, or pop it somewhere else, because it does, well, for me, it really does irritate. So yeah, just note to self if you're doing that. So yeah, so as I said, I managed to make the fringe while sewing along with the lovely Catherine and the lovely Rachel, which was fantastic, because whenever there was a decision, we had someone there, and that was the great thing about sewing with friends. So I did have these gorgeous little pearl buttons. Again, I'll pop a picture up of my decision making. I had lots of options, but I really wanted to kind of show, I think I wanted to show the simplicity of the fabric. So I wanted to keep the buttons very, very simple. So while we're talking about buttons, the fringe dress, on the first one that I made, I did exactly what it says on the pattern, and I put 3 buttons on the front. On subsequent ones that I've made, I always put 4 on. And the reason that I do that, if I can I stand up and show you? The reason that I do that is that this one is the one with just 3 buttons on, and it sits just a little bit lower than I would be normally comfortable for. So on subsequent ones, I put 4 buttons on, and it just allows me a little bit more space. Yeah, so, but to be honest, that's a personal preference thing. It doesn't have to be 4 buttons. 3 is fine. I prefer 4. And then of course, if you're going to put the sleeve tabs in, you'll need an extra 2. So if you do it my way, you'll need 6 buttons. If you do it as the pattern, you'll need 5 buttons for putting the tabs in. I know that's really important, isn't it, when you're deciding on notions and things. But to be honest, you could have, mixed and match buttons. That would be fine too, and I have actually done that on some of my fringe dresses. So yeah, so let's get back to the special occasion dress. I'm sorry if I'm flip-flopping around. I just find that this is the easiest way to explain, as if I show you my process. So, and as you can see, I made a matching bag. Now, I think the matching bag could be a video all by itself, because I made it using, I'm not going to share the pattern because I don't think it was a particularly great pattern. It was a free pattern that I got in a magazine. It was just like a simple kind of bag, but as is sometimes the case in these free patterns, the instructions were sparse, to say the least, but they were also wrong in places as well. So it meant that something that looked on the outset of being a very, very simple bag turned out to be something a little bit confusing. And actually, it's turned out not exactly the same as the pattern anyway, because I changed it around. I actually put a little pocket on the front so that I could keep the invitation, because when you go to a wedding, it's nice to keep the invitation with you. So I popped a little pocket in, and I also put a little one of a kind tab on the front, and to make it feel a bit more wedding-y, if that is a word, I found a little bit of this lace trim that I'd had in my stash, and I popped that in, and I think you'll agree it kind of goes all together quite nicely. And because it was in a wood, I put the little flower fabric in as the lining, as a little nod to the flowers, because I also had flowers in my hair for the day, and hopefully you will see that in the photos that are popping up on the screen. So yeah, so I made this one for the special occasion of the wedding, and I made that mostly with Rachel and Catherine as we were saying along. But as we got chatting, we started talking about view B. I had, up until that point, only made view A. And so when we were chatting, I was like, oh, you know, is anyone going to do view B? And everyone was very, very happy doing view A. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to make another one. So I did. I made view B, which is this one. I made it in a lovely fabric that I got from when Fleuriteurs were having a sale, and I saw this gorgeous Sleepy Sun fabric, and I just had to have it. And I thought, oh, what can I make with that? My first thought was a fringe dress, but I didn't quite have enough for the dress, so I made the top version, and I'm really, really pleased with it. So the top is, you make it exactly the same way as the dress. So this is obviously view B without the buttons, but you just shorten the skirt piece. So you're, rather than a blouse, it's more of a kind of tunic peplum top type thing, which is great for wearing with leggings. I've got it on with leggings at the moment, so I'll pop a full length version of me here where you can see me wear it with leggings. So it's got good coverage, still covers though that tum, hips and bum, but as you can see now with the option B, it doesn't give you the option with the tabs. It just gives you the options of the sleeves, but obviously you could very easily put the tabs in if you wanted to. I didn't, because I thought, again, I'm going to wear this more in the summer, so that I need that kind of arm coverage. But yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I've made quite a few fringe dresses, as you can see. It doesn't take me very long to make a fringe dress. I can, if I've got a day, I can definitely, I can cut it, sew it, hem it, everything in a day, no problem at all. Probably half a day. But the top, couple of hours. So yeah, a really, really nice, quick, easy, simple make. You can put it with or without the waist ties for the top. I did choose to put the waist ties in because I do really like that. Yeah, I like that nipped in. Now, definitely for this version, I'm really glad that I found out that the difference between my high bust and my full bust for this one, because you definitely need it to fit on your high bust better. So if you are kind of in betweeny for your full bust and your high bust, I would go with your high bust and just check, you know, maybe do a full bust adjustment, because yeah, you do want it to fit here nicely, because then that gives it the lovely shape. So yeah, so what do you think of my fringes? Please let me know. Don't forget to go and watch the lovely Catherine and the lovely Rachel, and let them know what they like, what you like about their fringe dresses. And I am going to nip over there almost as soon as I've finished this video. I just want to say a great big thank you to Rachel and Catherine, because doing this with them has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, the support that they have given, the, you know, and just the joy of having that dedicated sewing time. I have found it so much fun. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, you lovely ladies, for doing that with me. Yeah, it was, I don't want to get soppy or anything, but you know, it really filled my cup, and yeah, really, really lovely. So yes, so I have made 2 fringes with 2 gorgeous friends in 2 different fabrics. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to sparkle. See you really soon. Bye for now.